Welcome to the Fortnite podcast, the show about the story and universe of the Halo franchise. This is episode 38. I'm David, and I'm joined by usual co-host Danny.
Idly Holy.
And today we've got some special guests who I'll let introduce themselves.
Well, I'm CIA391, also known as Chris, if you really want to call me that.
And how would people know about you?
Well, people would mostly recognize me from Halopedia. I admin there with a bunch of awesome people that you might recognize, like Dab1, 1001, and Bacon, Shelf. What else? You may also recognize me from Twitter for tweeting about all those weird Halo facts and all that, and asking Grim all those questions that are really obscure and odd at times.
Hey guys, I'm Nakai Vodar, also known as CovieCanon. What I do is pretty much I go over the Covenant aspects of the Halo universe, its lore in regards to many other species of the Covenant, such as the Elites, Brutes, Prophets, that sort of thing.
And so we've convened the podcast panel at the end of 2020, just to do our usual year in review, going through the year, seeing what was happening and what's going to be happening in the next year, make our predictions and such.
We're finally through the new Halo Infinite launch, guys. We did it. Oh.
Yes, in an alternate universe, this podcast episode would be very different, and yet this was the worst of all possible worlds. So we're just gonna go through it roughly chronologically, and just refresh ourselves and talk about what happened.
Well, what did happen? What exactly happened this year?
Well, people killed 7 billion grunts this year, which took people 2.5 years using Halo 3 and ODST from that launch. So well done, everyone. You did great.
We've gotten more and more efficient at killing virtual grunts online.
I'm pretty sure if we're going to edit this, you should stick in a grunt birthday sound effect thingy to go along with that news. It's
fine, just for the yeah. So that was we got at the end of the year we got an MCC development update, and we'll talk a little more about the Master Chief Collection. But that was one of the things, and Chris found mentioned back on the old Bungie forums. We'll stick in the show notes. So we took 2.5 years before. So more people, more dedicated people, more grunts in the MCC to kill. We've gotten faster, more efficient in 2020. The beginning of the year was kind of amazing to go back to because it feels like another world, and in many ways it was. January, February, we were getting some Halo TV series, some Halo TV series tidbits. We got a lot of casting stuff in 2019. We were getting some additional production shots, some of that stuff going on.
Wasn't there filming done? I remember seeing some behind the scenes stuff,
there was some filming,
some rumors,
which would not resolve as it would turn out, but we didn't know it at the time. There was the Xbox Next Generation reveal, the Xbox Series X. And crucially to us, there was the road to Halo Infinite.
Very sad road.
The road had more twists and turns than we thought. Yes. It was in March that we got the big game news, as it would turn out this year, was mostly just Master Chief Collection arrived on PC. It started out in March with Comet Evolved Anniversary. May was Halo 2, July Halo 3, September ODST, November Halo 4. And there was 4 seasons of content in that. So for Xbox players, we got a bunch of cosmetic stuff. We got ODST Firefight, which was the big thing I was happy about because I like myself some ODST Firefight, and Reach Firefight is terrible. And then we did get a light fiction dusting over all that stuff. For each of the games, the Halo Waypoints YouTube channel put out the Oni archives, and mostly these were sort of I would say just introductions for casual fans or for PC players who are finally checking out what that Halo thing is about. Like a lot of 343's supplemental material. It technically takes place in universe as these sort of communiques, intelligence reports. We get there's a little bit that ties into the rise of the created, and I think the only major fictional bit that is new is that we got details on Gabriella, who, for people who went to Halo Outpost Discovery last year, which feels like way more than last year now, she was the AI that was sort of running the custodian of humanity's history and was at that exhibit.
I'm convinced, by the way, that all those real life attractions are something I'll just have to appreciate in photographs for the rest of my life, considering the world's circumstances and where I am, and the lightning bolt of luck that needs to channel through each of that to actually let me ever appreciate that in reality.
There needs to be a Scottish one. Come on.
Oh, you got too much over there already, you fuckers. Don't be greedy. Give us some
Yes,
love,
there's going to be Halo Outpost Sky for the most remote possible.
Oh, the Oni archives, though, they're amazing, though. Like, they all dived into, like, deep parts of the lore and all that. Like, there was mentions of Fixer and all that. I'm like, oh, wow. I was, like, not expecting to hear from him again after Nightfall's second stories and all that, which was really a deep dive.
I guess you can say it's deep lore connections to the other random supplemental material that has popped up, like the data drops and the second stories in Nightfall, which were the best part of Nightfall.
Oh, I agree there completely. Like, those were, like, so good, and I forgot where I was going with that.
They may have been actually better than Nightfall itself, actually, funnily enough.
We get so one of the details in the Oni archives ties into Halo Outpost Discovery with Gabriella, and also a short story in Halo Fractures, Rossbach's world, where basically Saren Osman and Hood are just left drinking at a secure site with a bunch of AIs that Black Box secured before the created took over. And we knew one of the AIs was Black Box. One of the AIs we learned from Hunt the Truth was the AI created from Maya, and who was in the second season of Hunt the Truth. And now we learn that one of them is also Gabriella. So now we've got 3 of the mystery AIs, and we still don't know what happens, because the story ends with Osman trying to decide if she should just destroy the AIs, if she should give them a chance to fight for humanity, if she should like forcibly recruit them. So it's possible, especially if Halo Outpost continues being a thing, that might actually get followed up with somewhat soon, which will be exciting.
How much planning do you think they're putting into planning real life events at the moment? Do you think they're still hopeful that things will return to normality, that they can just do that again anytime soon, like next year?
Well, we'll talk about it.
Let's just hope and cross our fingers that it will return.
I've been happy with the new Master Chief Collection stuff. I know there are people who've been annoyed because they've like reintroduced bugs and stuff like that, or the recent thing as we were recording this was the addition of new armor from Halo Online and stuff that is like ruining the Halo 3 look, and et cetera, et cetera.
Oh yeah, that was a little Twitter controversy thing, wasn't it? People got really upset about some of that stuff. It was kind of funny. Yeah.
I'm just excited for all the new lore and just armor coming back, and not just it being in limbo and just not existing anymore. I like armor lore has been one of the things I really enjoy editing on Halopedia, just because it can be so interesting and even so out there at times.
Actually, honest question about the lore. It seems that the lore for the armor in particular, is it as loose as it seems, and less congruent with the rest of the lore, as it seems initially on the surface? And this is me going back mainly to early Halo 4, maybe Halo 3 times. Like how would you categorize the state of the armored lore at the moment? Is it more in line with the rest of the content?
Well, a lot of the time they're written by like back in the day they were written by like numerous people, and now they're written by like the same people now, just writing it constantly for each game and all that. So with that in mind, it's a lot more consistent now than it was back in the old Halo 3 days. Because back in the Halo 3 and Reach days, it was very loose. Like it would say that, oh, there's a year, and then random details that don't even link on to that year at all. And then nowadays they say stuff like, oh, this was manufactured in a ship. I'm like, oh, that's really cool. Or, oh, this was found randomly, just drifting in a freighter somewhere.
Yeah, I think one of is it the Hellcat armor in Halo 5 is supposed to be based off like found stuff from ancient humanity.
There's if I recall, there's three sorts of suits that are based on that. There's the suits that are based on found technology like Hellcat. There's Buccaneer, which is essentially just armor humanity found and is just using for some strange reason. And then there's Shinobi, which they just found in a freighter and it's all locked up and they don't know much about it, but they're still using it anyways as well, which is still which I'd say is very risky, but the UNSC.
I'm pretty sure humanity finding ancient alien technology and using it is a story into itself, isn't it?
Yeah.
Nothing could ever go wrong there. Just ancient shit. Yeah, why not? Press some buttons.
I have to assume like that was an issue even in Reach when there were like 5 million variants for an armor that only like 6 people apparently were using. Is that you have to assume most of the stuff is like just test production stuff that never actually made it into wide release, because there's no reason you would have this many like armor permutations in real life.
Yeah, that's one thing I always find strange when I'm looking at the armor lore back at that time, is that it didn't really make sense with the rest of the universe and the odds and stats about what you know about the Spartans, how many are in use essentially, and you had armor pieces literally just flying out of the ass, just appearing everywhere, like a million different variants and stuff. And that didn't really make sense at that time with where the universe was.
Well, Spartans do have like they can change their configurations and all that. They don't just stay in the same armor for 20 years, never changing it unless you're master.
But we also know that's also not originally the case as well. Originally, they were supposed to be clones and identical looking. You couldn't tell them apart, and you know what I mean. So they definitely changed and shifted.
There is like a whole big reason for that though, where like they needed to make characters more recognizable and all that. Like it's easier to go, oh, that's Fred if he has his own unique armor. If he was just wearing Mark V like the Master Chief, then you wouldn't know it was Fred. You'd just see, oh, it's just another Master Chief.
Wasn't that an issue for the Halo cameo in other video games where they throw in random Spartan and people just think it's Master. It looks like Master Chief. It may as well be Master Chief, but it technically wasn't Master Chief.
Oh, yeah. I remember reading up when Dead or Alive did their Halo crossover, and then people were so confused why Master Chief sounded like a female, and like.
Which actually, it's worth pointing out that that's still semi-canonical. She's still out there, I think. I don't know if they've actually.
Oh, Nick. Okay, at the moment, Nicole is a canon Spartan, but that's all that is canon of her right now. We don't know her Spartan tag. We don't know if she's even a Spartan 2 Class 2 anymore. She's just a random Spartan. She can be a Spartan 4 for all we know.
That would be the easy way of getting around the possibility of futzing with the numbers. Just make her a Spartan 4.
Or a Spartan 3.
I can't imagine them being able to visually explain why a Spartan 4 looks like a 2 from many years back, but okay.
Well, I mean, then when you start getting into the questions of visual continuity stuff, yeah, it's weird.
Well, to be fair, I don't think they have any plans for Nicole, to be honest. I think she's just there, and that's all.
I mean, I would say I would agree with that, but also, like, they brought stuff back from, like, 12 years ago before, so it might just be...
Oh, yeah, that reminds me of when, like, I think, what book was it from again? I'll go into it for a second.
Yeah, you're thinking of Envoy with the Sharkway?
Legacy of Onyx. Legacy of Onyx brought back one of the most obscure things ever. it brought back Project Rebirth, which was a toy exclusive piece of lore that barely anyone knew about. I was like, oh wow, that's obscure.
So there's always possibility for that stuff coming up, and I think that's sort of what they do with the Oni archives, is throw stuff out there that people can chew on, and they don't have to ever do anything with. But if they do, someone will be like, oh my god, that thing from that Oni archive from that time in 2020.
I can't wait for more of that to come back later down the line, and just see Fixer just come back and people, oh, that's from the second stories, or that's from the Oni archives. Oh yeah, the Oni archives did leave a lot of stories and threads just open. Like, we don't even know what the unnamed narrator guy with a totally awesome voice, we don't know what he was looking up. We just know he was looking up stuff. So that's a big mystery there as well. Like,
you really think they'll go into the depths of the motivation of the announcer guy, of the voiceover? Like, that's a stretch. I don't think we'll get to know his personal motivations.
No, it's not his motivations, but we don't know what he was looking up. That's the loose ends.
Yeah, no, you're right. No.
Well, we still are don't know the identity of Halsey's interrogator from Halo 4, so that's just added to the shadowy, disembodied voices that we have yet to know about.
Yeah, so many of them.
MCC has really, really stepped up its game over the years, especially in 2020. I remembered when I remember going, like, waiting till midnight in 2014 just to pick up MCC. And aside from the obvious multiplayer issues, I had a blast with the campaign at Halo 2 Anniversary especially. But like I said, 343 has definitely did its damnness to make sure that MCC is literally the pinnacle of Halo for the community right now, and they've done, in my opinion, a pretty damn good job.
You're speaking with the benefit of hindsight. Like, MCC is amazing right now for a Halo fan. Like, there's no contest. Like, it's a really solid, amazing thing. But it didn't start out that way. It only got to where it is now through a very long, painful journey.
Well, it's kind of hard to imagine, like, looking back on it, that we're into another console generation and MCT didn't even launch right at the beginning of it.
Yeah.
It's like, it has been a long road.
I would say that Halo, like, MCC pretty much aged like fine wine, pretty much. Yeah, it was great. It's great now, but it was poorly executed at launch. It was poorly executed. Yeah. I will admit that.
Well, and it's, in that way, it sort of has followed the arc of many a Halo game, where,
oh yeah,
you look back, especially on, like, Reach and Halo 4 and stuff, and you're like, oh, remember when, like, we didn't have a decent Forge when it launched, or remember when, like, pre-title update, like, how terrible the stuff was, or remember when you didn't even have red X's in Halo 4. It's kind of hard to remember. Like, oh wow,
just the MCC exclusive work, like the Halo 2 Anniversary stuff, everything that they put into that damn thing, and the amount of fucking time, people, and resources over the years that they've needed to marshal, coordinate, and then they fail and regroup and replan and redeploy, and it's insane. It's literally the biggest Halo project that any company has ever worked on. And if it wasn't in the state where it is right now, it easily would have been pointed to as, like, the reason why Halo is not popular these days. Like, that would have been the alternate timeline for the MCC. It would have been the poster child of why the franchise is dead.
Well, and I think we'll see where Cyberpunk ends up. I do think this generation has been, like, the redemption story, by and large, for a lot of games, like Sea of Thieves, MCC. What am I thinking of? Hello Games thing.
No Man's Sky.
No Man's Sky. Yeah, like, had some pretty rough launches.
Maybe a couple of years later, but still, keep playing. It's a kind of dreadful thing, isn't it, overall?
There's no way to jump to the alternate universe where Infinite came out and was obviously going to have issues to some degree, and versus where an Infinite finally comes out, and the question of, would you have rather been playing it this entire year, or will the wait have been worth it?
Isn't that like the famous Miyamoto quote from Nintendo? A bad game is bad forever, and a delayed game can be good or something. I'm fecking up that damn quote so bad.
No,
You get
but
the
I
point.
think Miyamoto's wrong now, just because there's enough time for redemption. Not for everything. Like there's no coming back from like Anthem and like Lawbringers or whatever.
Oh yeah,
it was,
Anthem. Don't get me started.
Guys, shut up! I have hope. Anthem 2.0 will be the saving throw.
I mean, yeah, that's
we
true.
all need.
Even Anthem, even with as bad as it's done, it's still got its potential chance. I'm not expecting anything, but it's just one of those things that this generation, you have to. 1.0 games are increasingly rare. It's just for good and for ill. So, while this was all happening, COVID hit. Everything was terrible. Everything remains terrible.
Really? I didn't know this.
And that, as it would turn out, would impact things, as we would find out, because run on to July, E3 basically implodes, and maybe COVID killed E3, which, hey, that'd be one good thing that happened.
To be fair, E3 was doing a really good job of killing itself.
Well, yeah,
before
COVID is not thus far killing anything that wasn't already dying. It just might have sped things along. In July, we got the Halo Infinite Showcase, which we talked about at the time for episode 36, the podcast. And yeah, we were happy with it at the time. The internet was not. They made lots of memes about Craig, the indifferent brute. And within, I don't actually know when, didn't write down exactly when we got the news that it was delayed, but eventually Microsoft announced that it was not going to ship in 2020 like we thought.
They only recently announced the date of Infinite, the date period, because they were very unspecified. It's been delayed for blank. Like, they were that confident.
Yeah.
So.
I don't know if they actually said it was delayed from 2020, although obviously that was pretty likely at the time. But yeah, now just in the past couple weeks, we've got a new fall 2021 deadline for that. I have to say that with all the cyberpunk stuff going on, I'm sure Microsoft is like looking over there with a sigh of relief about feeling that they made the right choice.
I really wouldn't compare the situations at all. Cyberpunk's a single project that's been at the forefront of people's minds for 7 dying years, apparently. I don't think that the anticipation for Infinite was anywhere near the same.
Well, yeah, I definitely think, and it's basically the biggest game of the year, and it's multi-platform. So
I'm just looking at all the delays and going, more time to get the wiki all bolts tightened and everything, just to make it look nicer and all that, and just get everything all up to date again, which takes forever and will never end.
Yeah, I think it wouldn't have been a big deal, because from what we've seen, I mean, it's one of those things where we'll have to wait 5 or 10 years to get the Vice history of Halo Part 2 and know exactly what the issues are. But it seems like at least the campaign especially was fine, and like we already knew before we saw the July showcase that stuff like ray tracing was going to be a post-launch thing originally. So I'm not particularly any more concerned about it than I was. It's just kind of funny that after all the complaints and concerns about Infinite, everyone got blindsided by another game.
I think the biggest technical issue with that that people reacted to was the global illumination not being where it needed to be to please the most people, by the signs of it.
And also, it's one of those things where whatever your complaints with 343's games, they have been performant. To the point where Halo 5 was in some places a pretty ugly game because they wanted to make sure it ran rock solid, which I think is ultimately the right choice.
They were pretty upfront with the things that they had to sacrifice to achieve the look of Halo 5 that they wanted at the time. I remember split screen being a victim of their vision, for example.
Oh, like a lot of this, like I do wish split screen was a thing, just because there's so much co-op, like exclusive stuff that you'd miss completely if you didn't play in co-op and all that. Like the dialogue just does not happen if you unless you play in co-op, which is really sad because a lot of it's really cool.
And the shame further is that whenever you're playing co-op, you're more likely to be paying less attention to the minutiae around you.
Yeah.
Well, and then there are lots of nice little touches, like the opening cutscenes, gameplay moments change depending on which character you are and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm. Oh, of course.
Yeah, there's a lot of cool little touches. It's definitely a shame that you couldn't do it locally.
I don't know, Halo 5 to me felt like a co-op focused team game based around a team.
Oh,
and
definitely.
All those different characters and vantage points, and it just didn't execute that fully, I think. But that's a small criticism for Halo 5, to be honest. Like, we were all pretty impressed by that damn game, so.
Oh, definitely. I'm just more sad that I miss out a lot of lore. Like, did you know that they're like some of the statues in the Sun Helios levels have names?
I did not.
Like that's a co-op exclusive thing where Vale will go, oh, that's Mac Vadam.
The game was in no hurry to tell me whenever I went through it, so that's neat actually. But then again, if I'm sitting here going, wow, that's neat, how many other more significantly more casual folks are like, they do? There's a what?
Yeah, that.
And the good news with the delay is, like originally in the fallout of Master Chief Collection having issues, they had promised that future games were going to have betas.
None of which we've seen so far, so it's nice to say words and never follow through with them. Yep, absolutely. Can't wait for Halo Infinite beta. Oh.
Well, but flighting is now back on. I would expect we would have to wait until the spring.
Yeah, I'm guessing that as well.
I imagine after the debacle with the launch, they would want to take a few moments to calibrate things better next time around, essentially for round 2 of launching the game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So it was disappointing we didn't get it. Probably it was for the best. It was, I think, kind of nice not to have to worry about it, just because there's so much other stuff going on in the real world. But I know some people are like, that's the escapism I wanted.
Yeah, the escapism would have been a welcome relief to many millions. I would have imagined people are longing to see the Chief again. I mean, that's the thing that a lot of people just want to have their fun time with the Chief for a couple of days or a weekend, and they look forward to it every few years.
Well.
Yeah.
We did get Chief
in a fashion
in Fortnite.
Yes.
Oh Jesus!
That was the segue.
Yes, we did.
December. Well, probably the last big news of the Halo news of the year was Master Chief in Fortnite. So it is kind of funny to think about that. Putting him in Fortnite will be the first time like a bunch of 10-year-old kids will have any idea what the Master Chief is.
Yeah, it looks like this looks actually a solid plan. Fortnite is more of a platform these days than an actual game itself. Like marketing companies, proper money is being exchanged to make it a platform, and it's platform massive events, massive releases. So it makes sense that for a Halo game, they would want to leverage a platform such as Fortnite. But it also highlights the failure of the failure of having the game there, because you get awareness of Master Chief. You have all these 10-year-olds like you're saying, oh, Master Chief Halo. Okay, now go play the proper Halo game.
Yeah, which doesn't.
Where is it?
And all the weird.
I will say I'm excited to see all the new Halo fans. However, I mean, like a lot of people may,
yeah.
A lot of people may meme it, but absolutely, it will be great to see like how well this actually does for Halo and all that, or at least hope it would do well for Halo.
Look at it this way. It's like complaining that a book came out. It's complaining that some toys came out. It's like, stuff. It's not for you. It's for other folks, and let those folks enjoy it. There's new audiences out there, and expands the whole thing for everyone.
You don't have to. It's additive. It's not taking anything away. I do have to say, you can, if you play it on the next gen consoles, you do get a matte black variant. So I guess you can pretend that your black team or something, or just cool.
You can also pretend that justifies the hundreds and hundreds of dollars to get that stupid box that has no exclusive games. So you get exclusive skins for a Halo thing. Technically, that's value, right?
That is the question, I think, because I was thinking about getting an Xbox Series X if Halo had come out, and so obviously I'm pushing that off to fall 2021. I was curious to see how badly it would run, like if it was going to run at like 600p on the base Xbox One. Yeah, it would probably just been like, they should have just brought back the return of like distance fog, so you're just playing on installation 07 and you can't see more than 30 feet in front of you.
Just shows the Empire quality 2 feet in front of you, max distance. Yeah, absolutely, it would work.
So I'm probably going to be picking up the next thing. Unfortunately, it doesn't sound like the Series S performance with a lot of these games is great, and then I don't have a 4K monitor I can plug it into, let alone HDR, let alone high refresh rates, like, because computer monitor options are terrible.
Oh, you're missing out.
Like, there's no, it stinks that all the good technology is in TVs.
Yeah, I had to get a TV to get like most of that stuff. Yeah. Oh, I'm just happy for the fact that for the first time in any of the generations, I'm fully kitted out the ass. I've got literally everything possible I will need to enjoy myself. Obviously, it's not like ridiculous levels.
Except for the Xbox.
Yeah, apart from the... No, honestly, I chose not to get the Xbox because why would I get something that I can just get everything that's on it elsewhere cheaper and more accessible, like on PC?
Well, and I'm happy for this year as finally like killing off all the stupid PC gamers who are like, what's so great about Halo? Blah. Just because they couldn't play it.
And to be fair as well, the end of this year has with Cyberpunk have given people a nice life lesson to learn that ports can be terrible sometimes. You know what I mean? Like console ports generally don't really get much scrutiny because people just assume that it'll be fine because consoles are usually the primary driver in development. Cyberpunk has shown that a PC to console port can be horrid, which makes me really genuinely curious about the Halo Infinite platform situation and whether or not Cyberpunk's reception will dent any of their plans on the console space, particularly with the last gen hardware and the Series S that you were saying that may not be as fighting fit as its bigger brother.
We'll see. Yeah, we skipped December, but previously in October, we got the only book release of this year, Halo Shadows of Reach, which was actually delayed from September. I'm not entirely sure why, but it was. And we covered that in more detail on episode 37.
Oh, that book was such a nightmare to get the sacrifice copy. Oh my goodness.
Yes, if you wanted a small short story that basically explained how the Banished ended up with some Forerunner crystals from High Charity, you had to get a Walmart exclusive physical copy of the book, which is terrible.
Oh, it was a night. I had to ask one of my Reddit Halo people friends to get me a copy, and I don't like having to ask other people to get me Halo lore like that because it just feels
it's not like you're an independent functional adult in society, so no, absolutely not.
Yeah, I just waited for Halo Canon's recap for that one. I'm not gonna give Walmart money.
Was it good? Was it any good anyway? Like, they wasted people's time by doing this. Was it even good?
It was interesting. It plugged up some holes.
It was absolutely extraneous in terms of, I get why it was. It's one of those things where it's not that big a deal that you don't have it, but it's also, why not just include it? It's just kind of sucky.
I will say, however, about the sacrifice story, if you remember the 2010 editions of the original trilogy of books, right?
Yeah, it reprints. Yeah,
it's essentially the adjuncts at the end of that books, like totally bonus, not needed at all, but it's just nice to have.
Well, they go through the effort of making it. I want to go through the effort of enjoying it. Damn it. I'm willing to pay and do all the normal adult stuff to do so, but that's still not enough sometimes. You know what I mean? Like, I just want to sit there and enjoy the same stuff at the same time as everyone else. You know what I mean? And today's global economies, like, you're taking the piss if you can't say you can't do it. Like, you really are.
Mhm.
So I don't believe any excuses will paddle out there, because it's just not on. Make a decision not to do it and just make everyone happy. Because honestly, if I see a product that I want, I can't get it when everyone else gets it, it makes me significantly less likely then to wait patiently and then eventually be allowed to get it. Like, I lose significant motivation if I can't join in the conversation at the same time as my friends, essentially. And I don't think it's nice having that as an ongoing threat to your entertainment enjoyment.
Well, and one thing that was supposed to come out to coincide with Halo Infinite and did not, has been pushed to 2021, is the Art of Halo Infinite. Supposedly it's coming out June 2021. I assume it'll be pushed back till fall for Halo Infinite's release, but we'll see.
At the moment, it's at June 2021, and we don't know if that's actually going to stick to that.
Do you really think this smexy awesome art that showcases like all the final levels and bosses and everything, you think they're going to put that out months before the game?
You never know. So. It depends on how spoilery you are.
To be fair, the Art of Halo 3 didn't really go into much spoilers, so
yeah, it depends. But that's to
tie
into dissatisfaction with it. It stinks that the large format books don't get digital releases.
I mean, I understand why with the art books, because like if it's an art book, people can just screenshot it and then just put it on the internet. And then...
But it's just one of those things where I've got no room for all these books. That's why I buy digital in the first place. So it stinks. So I haven't gotten like the
100%. I'm a fully digital person these days, unless I'm forced not to be.
Oh, I like having my physical Halo collection of all my books that just stacked in a shelf.
So we do it both. So it's a shame that we don't get. We did get there for Halo 4. The Art of Halo 4 actually is a weird like multimedia book that like plays movies and music while you watch it. But the Art of Halo 5, Mythos, those things never came digitally, which is a shame. So
I wish Mythos released more of its art, to be honest, because Mythos has such amazing artwork in it.
There's also a convenience issue as well when it comes to those are like coffee table sort of publications. You stick them down on a table and they look fancy there, and they're awkward as fuck for convenient lookups and all the rest of the stuff. You know what I mean? And sharing that content and discussing it, it's
needs to get the story out there, because in my experience, the writers at 343 do not like to keep stuff exclusive. They like to get stuff out there.
Yeah, it'd be nice. But we'll see. I'm not expecting the art book stuff to change, but it's nice to wish for things.
I'll take small change. I'll just take stop being shafted on release dates. I'll take not having Walmart have a story I can't ever read because I don't live in America and shop at Walmart. Small steps.
And so some other stuff that was happening in the universe this year that was pretty interesting, especially from a lore side, was we got the Halo 2 and Halo 3 storyboards.
Most of the Halo 3 ones, just to be clear.
Yeah. But from
that sounds better. That sounds
better. It's not better. It's not better. No, trust me, it's not better. I heavily find all this awesome. I'm just being clear because there is missing ones that I scattered all across numerous sources and all that. But it's not me being better. It's more just
much of it. From Lee Wilson, who did storyboards for all three games. Did Halo 1, Halo 2, 3, and I think he was cinematic lead or something like that for Halo Reach. But ArtStation, which is where all the good behind the scenes stuff comes from now for Halo stuff. And these are really interesting. It's probably most interesting in that the Halo 3 ones are a lot nicer. They're like colored and all that stuff. The Halo 2 ones are nice, but they're also kind of a mess because Halo 2's story was changing so much. So they aren't really like properly scripted storyboards. They're sort of like doing this motion comic thing.
There is a lot of stuff though in it, like the dead human-like remains that I think the Arbiter just sees, and I think that was assumed to be the original Arbiter understanding the real mystery behind the halos and all that.
Yeah, and it's fun to see just also like the visual style. Like Master Chief is his E3 2003 incarnation. The Arbiter looks the exact same.
But he's called the
All
Dervish.
Yeah, but he's still the Dervish, which I don't think supposedly that change was so late that even some of the manuals were still printed with Dervish, and they just had to do a bad dub over everything. A lot of the Coven are still their Halo CE versions, and you get a lot of stuff that's very similar. Some of the storyboards are very similar to what you get in the game, and then there's a lot that has changed. There's like alternate versions of Master Chief's EVA trip to blow up the Covenant cruiser with the bomb. We get stuff
like the Flood Hulk,
yeah.
which to my knowledge doesn't even appear anywhere else ever again.
Yeah, so the Flood Hulk is the Drinol or whatever it's called. I forget, but it's based off a former Bungie project, and I think it was modeled for Halo 2, but it was ultimately cut, along with stuff like the Flood Juggernaut. There's a lot of super cool stuff in this. Yeah, and it's super fun to see, like, especially as time goes by, more details on these things. And you even get Haruspis did a decent look at the Halo 2 stuff, but it also has sort of the you see how late in development like the Cortana falling in the clutches of the Gravemind was, because according to some of the storyboards, she basically got killed suddenly, just kind of blown away. So you can tell that, like, hey, this was the stuff they were doing when they thought Halo 2 was really going to be the end of the story, and then things changed. So I encourage people to check them out. They're a lot of fun. And along those lines, we had access to the Halo 1 storyboards back on Bungie.net a long time ago, but surreptitiously and serendipitously, C3 Sabretooth, I'll put a link in the show notes, basically went through and did a sort of motion comic treatment to all the Halo 1 boards, and stuck in the original audio where he had it in music. And so this is, like with Halo 2, it's a fun little time capsule. A lot of the stuff is the same. A lot of it is, frankly, better in the storyboards. It's just one of those things where they were clearly a little more ambitious than they would be in terms of camera angles and scenes like that. There's all sorts of weird stuff, like the Cryo Bay. As it turns out, from the cinematics, you find out that you were supposed to fight and kill Guilty Spark in the Cryo Bay. That's why you go to the Cryo Bay in the Maw. And it's a totally different layout. It's just it's a really fun check. You get to see 343 Guilty Spark's weird proto monitor look, which he's sort of like a flat disc.
Sci-fi loves those flat disc flying sentinel things.
And it's also interesting that it, to me, as a long-time Halo lore guy, back in the day, there was a lot of dissection on the halo.bungie.org story forums about Cortana's actions at the end of the game, and like why she apparently seems to be lying about like what caused the destabilization of the Autumn to Foehammer, and the subtitle "Hitchhikers may be escaping convicts," so people thought like she had been taken over and all this stuff, and they created all these crazy theories that Cortana was going to go crazy and turn into a villain, which at one point in Halo 2 she was going to. So with Halo 5 and 343 we've come full circle, but the storyboards kind of explain that basically all those inconsistencies are just goofs. That all these fans were spending all this time coming up with these crazy theories, and no, it's just leftover mess ups from how it was slightly different, the gameplay sequence.
And we still have no idea what the meaning of two betrayals is.
Yeah, and that was one of the fun things there. He complains that he still has no idea what it's doing to, and it might have at one point had to do with Cortana and Gilly Spark, but it's still unclear. And so there's still stories.
We're just left with a very cool sounding name.
Yeah.
The shame of it all.
And actually, that was another little bit that comes up, is that he doesn't think 343 Guilty Spark was actually named as such. Originally, he was just the monitor, which explains why Cortana never refers to him that way. And the dubbing for when he introduces himself is slightly weird. So it's a lot of fun. It's interesting to see, like, oh, that just like the this cave is not a natural formation thing. There's some mundane game development reasons why things ended up the way they did. But it's a nice peek behind the curtain. So we'll put links to those. I encourage people to check them out. They're a lot of fun.
Now we're on to some sad news.
Yes. So the last bit, probably, as a recording, the last bit. Who knows if they throw something out for a curveball at the end? But this is probably it. We got news that come December 2021, or no sooner than December 2021, all the, or most of the Halo Xbox 360 game services are going to shut down.
Who is genuinely sad about that? Like, if you looked at the original timelines for other games, it's like, holy shit, we got such a good record, such a good run.
I mean,
I'm not so. I can understand why people are a little like down or like kind of sad about that. Which it happened with Halo 2, back in the original Halo, the original Xbox console, and yeah, it's sad, but it's got to happen. They can't maintain.
Oh, of course.
Like I understand why people are sad about that. Like I said. It's just.
Well, I think for fundamentally for a lot of people, it's their childhood going away. Like, no.
All things change and all things must end. At the end of the day, it's not eternal.
It's not like we have the MCC sitting there going, "What the fuck about me, guys? I'm still here." You know what I mean? So
I appreciate that there are like for the people who care that much. I mean, I know like Tupolev, and there are people who still banging the drum about how since MCC is based on the Halo PC thing, there's graphic glitches that are never going to get fixed or something like that. I appreciate that. But luckily, this is not affecting the single player or anything like that. It's only affecting multiplayer. So really, this matters if you want to get the achievements for those. But otherwise...
There is also an extra to this. The Halo Wars demo and the Halo Reach demos were also delisted at the same time. Which is also...
I can't play my Halo Wars demo.
I mean, it's like, they're cool, and I understand why they took them down. It's still sad at the same time, though, that a piece of history is just gone.
I assume we have them archived by now. Like, we've had a lot of time to prepare.
Definitely, just like, even the Halo Wars demo has a disc version of it as well.
In the before time.
I'm grateful that we do have all these relics. We're digging up storyboards from ages back. Like that's the sort of stuff we need to just cherish and preserve. You know what I mean? Like we should be thankful that we have the opportunity to keep that stuff. You know what I mean? Because companies these days, a lot of companies don't care. Whenever they take something offline, yeah, tough shit, move on.
Awesome.
So I think in this respect, they've been very respectful to people. Giving them plenty of
heads up. Yeah.
Us on Halopedia has been doing a great job at archiving a bunch of like random old websites and all that.
Keep that legacy content. Yeah, I will not miss. I did all the painful grinding for all the 360 Halo achievements a long time ago, so I'm happy I don't have to think about that. I did General. I did all those terrible Reach multiplayer ones. Happy I don't have to worry about it. And then other random stuff. We did stuff at Fortnite. We occasionally do that. We, among note, We'll put links in the show notes. We've continued our retrospective series looking at Hail of the Flood. We had an interview with William C. Dietz, who was kind of happy and surprised to learn that his book is still relevant and that they did stuff with it in Fireteam Raven because he was checked out.
That was so awesome, by the way. They learned that. That must have been so awesome for him. They know that the little thing he did, it still matters and it's still relevant. It's
I'm so surprised that they brought that, like you guys said, they did an amazing job of staying true to the Flood book, and adding on to and recreating some of those scenes, like the Battle of Alpha Base, or the Battle of securing the Pillar of Autumn.
Oh yeah, a lot of that was ace to see in like some form. Even though I've never played it, from what I've seen in gameplay and the trailers, this looks so awesome.
I played it with my dad when we went to Outpost Discovery last year, and it was just an amazing experience. And adding on to that, and seeing, and I liked how Fireteam Raven add on to stuff from the Flood book, like the Juggernauts, the Covenant Lich, the Halo 3 Proto Scarabs, that sort of thing. Like it really adds, like, this is a very cohesive universe, like as Halo usually is.
Yeah, I'm surprised they didn't ever, with the reissues we were talking about, I'm surprised they didn't actually make more changes to them to fit in, but I think they've done a decent job.
When they do like reissues like that, they still want to respect the original work as well, because how many changes can you do until it turns into...
It's not the same thing.
Yeah.
It's...
Or before it turns into a brand new book itself. So you got to respect the original work to some degree.
Yeah. And so looking forward, unsurprisingly, since Halo Infinite is now releasing, God willing, in fall 2021, that's something to look forward to.
Mm-hmm.
The MCC is still getting updates. I think season 5 is supposed to be in January. And so we're getting some weird armor stuff. We're also getting GRD, which, if you don't recall from Halo Reach, it was supposed to be DLC armor that didn't actually show up in the game, aside from they put little like Easter egg dolls in the certain affinity maps for it. So we're going to be getting those.
Oh, I can't wait to use that properly.
It actually, I think it's better. Their versions look a little better than the originals, so I'm happy with them. In terms of lore, we were talking about that there are probably going to be more books that have been as of yet unannounced, but for now, the only thing we have on the schedule is in March 2021, and it's Halo Point of Light, and this is by Kelly Gay, so it's following up on the Ace of Spades crew and Spark, and Halo Renegades, which came out 2 years ago now.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm excited because I really liked Halo Renegades, especially. I think it's probably one of my top books of the, I don't know, whatever you would call, quote unquote, recent era in the last couple years.
Oh, I really like Smoke and Shadow myself. The fact that it brought a character from a very obscure source, the Halo Wars official strategy guide, was like amazing. Like, not many people knew about that, and I was like, oh wow, is that who I think it is? And then it just revealed it. I was like, oh my god, my mind was blown.
A theme of recent Halo, especially this year and stuff, is like lots of deep cuts, lots of connections. Like, didn't expect a Halo Reach multiplayer map to show up in a book.
Like, they're connecting like everything together.
Even stuff from I Love Bees in Halo Infinite, like SPDR, is just returning like randomly. I'm like, oh wow, that's a really deep cut.
And adding elements from Halo Reach into other stuff like Shadows of Reach. Sorry for going off track on there.
No,
but like you guys said, like it's I really love how 343 is doing all it can to bring elements from all other Halo media into a cohesive universe. It kind of makes it all connected, like say for example, Star Trek or Star Wars. Like it's on that level of consistency and a cohesive universe.
Yeah, and I think especially with recent books, it's nice to know that little thing in some random part, like, hey, remember Conversations in the Universe? It's going to take us 13 years, but we're going to like touch on a thing that was in there.
Love that
it's
big
a
let.
rewarding
Love
thing.
it.
Like, you don't have to. It doesn't have to be the biggest thing in the world, but there's a better than even chance you'll eventually see it again. And that's rewarding part of, because obviously, yeah, you can't have every game deeply touch on every aspect of every single book because you got 30 plus of them at this point. So just having little things to push it forward is a lot of fun. And I think Halo Renegades especially was one of those books where they tied into a lot of plot threads. Like, we've been waiting for what happened to Guilty Spark since 2012, right?
I don't know about that. Yeah.
So, yeah, whenever the Thursday War came out, or not Thursday War, Primordium. So, and then it tied into Halo Wars. Like, didn't know that there was going to be more stuff going on there. So I'm excited to see where Point of Light comes from. It's got a really cool cover. I don't think I've seen Pixel Flares done any of that stuff
Oh,
before.
he's a community artist guy that makes a bunch of cool art, and he's been doing a lot of work with 343, like making renders of like the weapons go around in circles and all that, which is really really cool. Yeah, it's really cool to see. I'm really happy for him because he's done a lot for the community.
And I would also like to add that he has done amazing graphics for numerous content creators, including myself.
Oh yeah, your channel. Yeah.
He does amazing work, and honestly, seeing him working for official Halo stuff, such as MCC and Point of Light, it really I've said this before in Twitter and all that, but him, a fellow content creator, given this opportunity to contribute to Halo, it's honestly inspiring. It gives creators like myself and many others chances of actually making a difference within Halo, either in lore, graphics like William, or many other things. So I would say like he's an inspiration to the community, in my opinion.
And so we talked about possibly the Art of Halo Infinite comes out in June, but we're going to assume it comes out later. That seems a safe choice. And we talked about it briefly.
Yeah, always assume later.
But fall 2021 is when we're supposed to get Halo Infinite. When they announced this, they had, in a obviously calculated ploy that, of course, I was here for, they had Joseph Staten talk about everything. And we actually got some screenshots, not much, but we got to see a little chunk of multiplayer map. We got to see the Spanker returning. Got to see the sniper rifle. We got to see some of the armor variants and the coding system, including, for the people who care about that, the one of the SR-152 max rank for Halo 5 rewards. You get what's it called? Watchdog armor coating.
I think there's also a weapon skin with that as well.
Yeah, there's a weapon skin too. Not too much to react to, but it looks nice and pretty. It's obviously designed to, hey, look, here's some more Reach-esque armor stuff for you to freak out about. And the armor coating stuff, the idea that you wouldn't just be able to change your colors, I know has annoyed some people. a lot, which I get. On the other hand, one nice thing that I thought the update did was it talked about making sure that the platform's expandable so that they can do more customization in the future, which definitely is positive to me, because it seems like with Halo 5 and the rec system, they were kind of surprised that it was successful, and then you were left with a giant pile of recs you could not sort or do anything with, and it was kind of terrible. Like that, the fact that you can like sort by rarity or name, or like,
as I was saying, I totally wish there was a way to sort the armor by what it was, so I can compare skins of a set and all that. So if I wanted to compare all the Seeker variants,
yeah, like that skins were not combined. It was like, oh my god. So it's good to know that they're thinking a little more about that stuff, from the start.
Because if I wanted to compare two Seeker sets, I'd have to find one, then close my eyes, keep it in my head, then find it again, and just to remember what they look like side by side.
Yeah, it was not great.
Not ideal,
so,
yes.
I mean, I get why people are upset about the stuff, but it'll really be the devil is in the details, and the fact that it's going to be a free-to-play multiplayer game means you're going to get some of this stuff. So,
but it also means more Halo fans as well, with the
prepare.
free-to-play and all that.
Yeah, and I think that's I wouldn't even say it's a smart play. I feel like it's almost a necessity at this point. That's where things are going, and as long as it means I'm fine paying for my campaign content, like as long as they're still marketing it to me, I'm happy. I have more people to dunk on or be dunked by on multiplayer.
Still waiting for playable Sangheili though. I'm Covenant Canon. I love Sangheili. I need playable Sangheili back. I can't stay on MCC forever.
And before it's playable, you on it.
Well, that would be a lot easier to do. Yeah, I feel like it's unlikely, but who knows? There's how many other possible Halo multiplayer experiences they haven't given us, where they could give us elites back as playable characters. So don't give up.
Well, it is Halo Infinite is apparently going to be a 10-year project.
Yeah.
So there is hope. There is hope for it. I hope they decide to put playable Sangheili in Halo Infinite, because there's a good chunk of the community that really wants that back, including myself, obviously.
Rebel.
Yeah.
No, that's true. And with it being delayed to fall 2021, that also brings up the obvious point that November 2021 is 20 years of the Halo franchise. Well, technically, October 30th would be 20 years of Halo, because Fall of Reach came out.
You know, we did this book thing, Dave, about the first 10 years, the first decade of Halo. Really?
Yeah, and things changed a lot like that. Of course, it also took us 3 years to get it out.
I can also be very technical and say 1997, September 24th was when Halo was first, I think, under Armor.
Is that like the Armor? Yeah, the
Armor. The trademark. That's the earliest information we've got on it. Armor was trademarked, and we don't know much about the 1997 work.
But yeah, it's astounding that Halo has lasted for more than 20 years, or is gonna last more than 20 years.
But it is, I mean, I have to imagine that it would have made sense for there to be a 2021 Outpost Discovery, which is obviously not going to happen. I guess we'll see what they got planned for the anniversary. It definitely was a disappointing thing that I was not able to go to Halo Fest in 2011. I got a Grunt plushie, but I did not go.
I so wish I was able to go.
It would be great to have some kind of stuff like that, even if we obviously can't do it in person, or certainly not with the time frame. Assuming everything's better by summer, still not enough time to get out a giant traveling Halo show.
Yeah. I would imagine that there would be an Outpost Discovery, not the coming year, but probably in 2022. That would probably be the more likely outcome when we're going to get another Outpost Discovery, if we get an Outpost Discovery.
I mean, talking with the Outpost Discovery people at Outpost Discovery, they seem pretty certain that they were going to do another one. So we'll see how much contracts and acts of God change. But
and hopefully more Covenant stuff. No, sorry, what?
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure the Outpost Discovery people would love to continue having a job. I think that's one of the big motivators for them.
And seeing them absolutely dunk on the 343 people at their own game was fun.
Please bring it to Ireland. Please. Well, do anything in this island.
Like, I'm sure it's going to come to the UK. I'm not sure what's going to be left of the UK when it comes over there. Like, if it was just going to be
I'm not even sure this part of the world will be in the UK by that time.
So, I don't know. Well, things will change. We'll see. Yeah, it'll be exciting. Definitely have to get stuff together for 2021. I'm sure you guys have plans too, because it's a big anniversary. Also, I guess, and other things that might happen. I think they haven't changed the date that the Halo TV show is supposed to come out in 2021. I don't know if that takes in the fact that if that factors in the fact that production got shut down and restarted.
It's in limbo at the moment, but at the moment it's still 2021. But
unless it's like ramp up production like The Mandalorian or Game of Thrones was, I would say for certainty it would probably be pushed back to another year.
Well, and the big news we got this year in November was that the actress who was playing Cortana has been replaced by Jen Taylor. So if they were able to do that, it seems like there's still a fair amount of track they gotta run through.
Guys, put it this way, right? The only real possibility is it's coming out towards the end of the year. It makes sense with the Infinite's timeline, but
probably December, if not early 2022.
Assuming we actually even reach it to 2021, because I'm not entirely convinced that like the clocks aren't just going to go from December 31st, 2020 to January 1, 2020, and I've Got You, Babe is going to play on the radio. We might not get it. We'll see. All right. Well, any other thoughts, hopes for 2021? To look back on 2020?
Just goodbye 2020. You'll never be missed. You will never be missed. You will probably spit on your grave.
Hey, as an introvert, like 2020, I was living my best life.
There is one good thing that has happened for 2020 for me, and that is reaching 10K a month ago. That was honestly amazing. And that was due no small part by my collaboration with Hidden Xperia. Like, I went from like 8,500 from one day, and I was like so close to 10K at the end of the next day. And I was so pumped. I was so ready. And when it actually happened, I was just starstruck, honestly.
But if we had numbers to be proud of, we would be as proud as you are. Well done on that shit.
I have to say, 2020 has been a pretty alright year for me. I feel that I've gotten closer to the overall community this year. Like, Halopedia has gotten a lot more connected and more focused. We've managed to we've got like 5K followers on Twitter now, which was really amazing. We made it to 13K pages on the wiki, which was also amazing. Everything happened in November this year. It was really insane.
Busy time.
Yeah.
And now Halo Infinite will come out in 2021, which means that 2021 will be that much better and will not be
oh yeah, it will already make it way better.
Oh, definitely.
All right. Well, we'll put links to all your channels and all the stuff we talked about in the show notes. Thanks for coming on. We'll see everyone in the new year.
It's my pleasure.
Victory to Clan King, guys.